You're not going to die today. Probably. But at some point, whether it's decades from now or sooner than anyone expects, there will be a final moment. A last heartbeat, a last breath, a last thought. And in the seconds just before that happens, your body doesn't simply stop. It goes through something. A sequence. A biological unwinding so precisely ordered that scientists have been able to map it, almost step by step. This is what actually happens inside you in the moments before death. First, a clarification. Because death isn't one thing. A sudden cardiac arrest is different from the end of a long illness. A traumatic accident is different from dying peacefully in sleep. The biology shifts depending on how the body gets there, but there's a process that holds across almost all natural deaths. A shutdown sequence your body runs through regardless of the cause. Scientists call it the agonal phase, from the Greek word for struggle. Not because dying is always violent, but because the body makes one last attempt to hold itself together before it can't anymore. That process is what we're talking about, and it starts earlier than you'd think. It usually begins with the heart. Either it stops suddenly, in cardiac arrest, or it weakens to the point where it can no longer push enough blood to keep the body running. Either way, the result is the same. Oxygen stops moving. Your blood is a delivery system. Every cell in your body depends on it to keep receiving oxygen and expelling waste. The moment that delivery stops, a countdown begins. And different parts of your body have very different tolerances for how long they can survive without it. Your muscles? Several hours under the right conditions. Your kidneys? Around 30 minutes before permanent damage sets in. Your brain? 4 to 6 minutes before cells start dying in large numbers. That gap, 4 to 6 minutes, is why CPR works. It's a manual override. You're buying time on a countdown that the body has already started running. Here's where it gets strange. You'd expect the brain to go quiet as oxygen drops. Instead, in many cases, the opposite happens. Studies measuring brain activity in patients at the moment of cardiac arrest have recorded massive, sudden surges of electrical activity. Gamma waves, the same waves associated with heightened consciousness, vivid dreaming, and deep focus, firing at levels higher than anything recorded during normal waking life. In a 2023 study, researchers monitoring dying patients found coordinated bursts of brain activity in regions linked to memory, visual processing, and conscious awareness, occurring in the 30 to 60 seconds immediately after the heart stopped. The brain, starved of oxygen, appears to activate in ways it never does while you're alive and well. No one fully understands why. One theory? It's the nervous system dumping its entire remaining energy reserve in one last burst, like a phone screen flaring to full brightness right before the battery dies completely. Another theory is harder to dismiss, that this surge is what creates the tunnel of light, the life review, the sense of peace that near-death survivors consistently report. Not mysticism, biology. The brain producing its most intense experience at the very moment it's shutting down. While the brain is surging, the rest of the body is doing something else entirely. Muscles, deprived of oxygen, start releasing. The tension that your body holds constantly, the slight tightness in your jaw, your hands, your shoulders, lets go all at once. This is why the body goes limp at the moment of death. Sphincter muscles relax too. It's an undignified detail, but it's part of the biology. The body releases everything it was holding. At the same time, your cells are beginning a process called apoptosis, programmed cell death. This isn't damage or decay, it's a built-in instruction. When a cell detects that it's been cut off from oxygen for long enough, it activates a sequence coded into its own DNA, essentially self-destructing in a controlled way rather than rupturing and damaging the tissue around it. Your cells have always known how to do this. They've been carrying the instructions their entire life. So what are those final 7 seconds actually like? The number comes from research on brain function after cardiac arrest. Specifically, how long it takes for the brain to lose its ability to sustain conscious experience once oxygen is fully cut off. On average, about 7 seconds of something before nothing. What that something is, no one who has died and stayed dead has ever reported back. But near-death experience research gives us fragments. The most consistent reports across thousands of accounts, across cultures and backgrounds, across people who had no prior belief in any particular afterlife, a sense of calm, a feeling of the body becoming distant, often a vivid compressed review of memories, not in chronological order, but emotional order, the moments that mattered most surfacing in rapid succession. And then, in most accounts, peace, not fear, not pain, peace. Whether that tells us something real about what consciousness does at the end, or whether it's simply the brain's gamma surge producing its most beautiful hallucination, is a question science hasn't answered yet. Maybe it doesn't need to. Here's what I find genuinely remarkable about all of this. Your body has a protocol for dying, not a malfunction, not a failure, a protocol. A sequence it runs through with something close to order, even grace. The cells that built you, that have been dividing and repairing and carrying signals for your entire life, follow an instruction at the end that was written into them before you were even born. Apoptosis, programmed death, is as fundamental to your biology as growth, as healing, as breathing. You've been carrying the mechanism of your own ending inside every single cell since the day you arrived. And the brain, the part of you that reads and thinks and worries and loves, doesn't go quietly. It goes loudly, brilliantly, in a burst of activity that has no equivalent anywhere else in a human life. Whatever dying is, it isn't passive. It isn't simply stopping. You're not going to die today. Probably. But now you know what your body has been quietly prepared to do all along. And maybe that's not as frightening as it sounds.